Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here with John Fitch for Mixed Martial Mindset. We're currently streaming on both YouTube and Rockfin. Twitter gave me the business yet again as we just tried to set it up. We did get it last week on Twitter. But we're only going to be able to talk so much on YouTube. So just out of the gates, I want to let everybody know Rockfin is the place to be for a broadcast like this because there are just so many things you can no longer talk about on YouTube. Obviously, we'll get into the Ghislaine Maxwell trial, how it began, how I think it's going to be a big whitewash. I want to talk Dorsey leaving Twitter. I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that the censorship is now becoming so over the top. He doesn't even want to put himself in that authoritarian position where so many other people are going to be banned. I want to talk Triad Combat, which I thought was an exciting kind of hybrid mixed martial arts / boxing event. Certainly the only thing about mixed martial arts were the mixed martial arts fighters and the small gloves. Maybe some spinning back fists, but those have been around.
Well, there's a reason why you're seeing more and more of these types of competitions popping up. It's because the UFC is a monopoly. These other promoters with money, they cannot get into MMA market and actually compete because of the monopoly that's held by the UFC. They own 90% of the market. They own 90% of the top 10 fighters in every weight class. They just dominate. They have never-ending contracts. So the only way for other promoters, people with money, to get into the fight game and continue to screw the fighters is to create hybrid fighting sports. That's why these aren't boxing events. They don't count as boxing. They want to change the rules enough so that they're not classified as boxing so they can avoid all of the legal implications and free agency that surrounds boxing.
Now, did you watch it?
I saw some of the highlights.
So
but the concept of boxing with clinching and dirty boxing, like,
it's basically BKFC in a smaller ring with gloves and wrapped hands, right? So, I mean, very, very similar. We were talking about, I believe it was 2-minute rounds, just like BKFC, 5, 7, and 9. The first fight was really exciting, but then they also headlined with Metallica, and they put on a production valued show that instead of De La Hoya being coked out of his mind on air, running around with Pete Davidson and Mario Lopez trying to hold it together, they actually put together a real show. Nick Cannon hosted it. They had a side table. The commentary was actually pretty decent. The one WWE aspect of it was they kind of brought the old IFL boxing team versus MMA team, and then they had Shannon Briggs as the head coach. And
But again, it's the underlying structure. The promoter controls the title and the rankings and everything. It's no different than the UFC's business model. They're just not as big. They're not making the same amount of money. There's not as much scrutiny.
Well, I think there's also the aspect that it is that kind of circus show for fighters that are after their prime or maybe stepping outside the UFC. Mitrione fought. A lot of great fights, by the way. Derek Campos' fight was amazing. Derek Campos fought from Bellator. Mike Perry fought. So, you know, Frank Mir actually had the poorest showing out of everybody in MMA. Everybody thought the boxers were going to wipe the floor with him, and that just was not the case. So I think that it's an opportunity for those guys to step in, possibly get a 6-figure payday when those days are behind them or very rough to get, right? And then possibly $1 million payday. For instance, I actually bought it. So the pricing structure.
It goes to show you, like, the amount of money that is available in the markets. Like, these guys, if they could get and poach top talent from the UFC, if they could get a Nagano or a John Jones who's not happy with the UFC, if they could get that guy, the money's out there. They could pay them way more than the UFC does because, like, there are rich people that want to put on fights and shows and make money that way.
Well, they were in Arlington.
They can't because the UFC's business model.
They were in a full football stadium, and Metallica was there. So, you know, they did a hybrid event again, very smart because Triller basically put out a thing where it was $20 for the fight, or for $30 you got the entire year of Triller fights, at least one a month for free. So in other words, it was that, or $2.99 and you sign up monthly and you still could have saw the fight, but you weren't dedicated to the year, much like Rockfin. You saved 2 months, right? So I was like, you know what, for $30. I might as well do this for the year. I've already bought a couple of these events. Let's see where it goes. I understand what you're saying, that they control everything, but I also see it as a way for somebody like Vitor Belfort to make $1 million, where he's not going to make $1 million in one fighting championship, right? It's a way for if John Fitch wanted to dust off the small gloves.
And the majority of guys are not going to do that in UFC either.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's not just guys that haven't fought for the UFC. Again, I was really surprised that Mike Perry was there. You know, I guess Perry must have just been released, but he was a real scrapper. Again, when you look at Mitch Rion, former UFC guy, former Bellator guy, although Coker is a little looser in the contracts, depending on what you're doing. We're going to get into MMA at the end of the show, too, guys. I just wanted to kind of kick that off because actually Triad Combat, to me, it was pretty exciting and well worth $3 or even $20. Put on a better card than, say, the UFC has in a couple weeks. The last pay-per-view for the UFC, top-notch, but those fight night cards were kind of garbage. John Fitch. You find everything John Fitch at johnfitch.net. Looks like a new revamped website. Tell them about it.
Working on it a little bit some more, trying to make it a little more streamlined to get to the shows and get to the stuff when you want to get to some consultations or booking privates or seminars, whatever. But yeah, get to the website, sign up for the newsletter. I have a lot of links and stuff on there you can follow. I have a free self-defense course out right now. It's a big thing I've been pushing. You go through my link tree links on my bios and my social medias, and you can find that there.
And guys, you're watching me on YouTube. You're new to the channel. Let's say you just found the Epstein video that's doing pretty well today, that's getting me some subscribers. Here's the bottom line. We've been doing this a very, very long time. I need you to subscribe, thumbs it up. Check out the documentary films for free. We showed a little piece of Invisible Empire, a New World Order defined. But because everything's selective enforcement, and I was just kicked off of YouTube only last month for apparently cyberbullying Epstein, maybe Ghislaine Maxwell, maybe Conor McGregor.
You wouldn't want to ever cyberbully those guys. That's so mean and wrong.
From a video from January of 2020, so now almost 2 years ago. They kick me off at any time. Rockfin. And another great way to help me is we've got the meme contest. Remember, all the documentary films are free. Have you seen my new meme, John? I need a like if you haven't seen it.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Oh, well, let's show it to the gang here. And remember, you can enter this contest too. So organically make Rockfin go viral.
Nice.
So again, go give that a like, guys.
Yeah, things are, I don't know, man. It's weird. It's so weird out. Because talking to people, when you're out in the world, talking to people, it's a completely different atmosphere than online. It's like completely different worlds. You know, most people are over COVID. They're over the vaccine mandates, everything. Whether they've taken the shot or not, like, they're over this shit.
Mm-hmm.
But you look online and like everybody's making fun of the Omicron, whatever, Perseus fucking 9 variant.
Well, you know what? We got to be careful. Listen, we could talk about some things that people might not believe. Anthony Fauci, that when he goes on television and says when Ted Cruz and Rand Paul are attacking him, they're really attacking science. And that's concerning.
Science. He's the embodiment of science.
He is science. He's Lord Science Face. Like, he's the man. Like,
and it's just, yeah, man. It's I don't know. It's weird.
And it looks like,
'cause I'm out in the world and I'm you know, if I'm staying offline, if I'm staying off my devices and I'm just living and doing stuff, hanging out with the kids, spending time with people I know, it's gone away. It's gone.
Mm-hmm.
But then the second I pop up anything on my social media, or if I want to watch a podcast or whatever, it's just inundated with commercials or crazy shit, and it looks like more lockdowns. It's like the Jack Dorsey thing, stepping down from Twitter, seems ominous.
Well, I think it's big time because it's global. Again, this guy that they're putting in here, Parag Agrawal.
I think he won, and he's like, I think he's separating it too because he's got his interest in Bitcoin and stuff.
Here's what I think.
I feel like if he's in charge of Twitter still, and when they start doing more purges, like they're going to do more purges, they're going to block more people.
Here's the thing.
They're going to
Dorsey
push
doesn't run
more
Twitter.
jab stuff.
Yeah.
And if he's still linked, like he's got plausible deniability. Oh, I didn't know they were going to do this. I'm sorry. Keep buying my stuff.
Look, I think it's been a long time since Jack Dorsey was quote unquote the head of Twitter. In other words, running it. We're talking before even they banned Alex Jones, okay, and he was giving his testimony before the Senate. At the time, for instance, John, of post-Trump election, let's start there, post-Trump election. Once that happened and the Russiagate narrative that has now been totally and completely eviscerated, all right, needed to be spun, that's when...
Yeah, he's eviscerated, but it's a criminal enterprise of a bunch of crooks pushing a fake thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, crooks, government officials, kind of like synonymous with each other, right? What? Oh, did I say that out loud? Am I cyberbullying anybody, YouTube? So let's look at that. That's when openly Twitter went the route that they were going to run algorithms where authoritative sources were being boosted, and the shadow ban thing started to come to light, right? Now, I don't think that's a Jack Dorsey decision at all. I think that when you look at obviously a consortium that's now invested in Twitter as a business, you obviously also have government narratives that need to be pushed. Some of those investors are obviously part of signature reduction, our nice little secret military, right? I was explaining to somebody how, Facebook really works earlier. We'll probably get to that in a moment. But you have all that going on, right? And then Dorsey kind of pushes back on some things because he doesn't want to be the face of fascism. Alex Jones goes to the hearing where Dorsey's at, corners Oliver Dorsey, calls him a weasel on camera, and have you seen those videos?
A while ago.
Okay,
Yeah.
So for those that don't know, Jones had already been banned from YouTube, all right? And what we started to see in Facebook, I believe also, is now it was all of social media was lockstep, okay? In the fact that this is who we're banning, this is okay speech, this is bad speech. They geared up to get
sides.
Well, not only sides, but they softened it up. They're like, don't worry, we're just getting rid of the flat earthers. Don't worry, we're just getting rid of the fake news sites that were telling us that every Hollywood star had been murdered by the Illuminati and they had inside sources. Remember all those stories, John, that were all over pages? Don't worry, we're just getting rid of the fake stuff. And Dorsey kind of held out. I think that actually in that sense, Dorsey said, you know what? I'll say your talking points. We'll do what you said at the government hearing. But then Jones in the hallway at this hearing corners Dorsey, is streaming it via Twitter, and then Jones gets within 5 feet of Dorsey and calls him out streaming it via Twitter. I think that was the last call. I think that everybody just said, hey, they all got, now we have to do it, Jack. Now we have to do it. And he's like, well, maybe now we have to do it. Okay? And from that moment on, I think he's had very little to do with it. He ran some PR, right, when they sent him on the Joe Rogan podcast. Mm-hmm. But now that the censorship is so rampant, we'll call it the post-Hunter Biden laptop era, where verified stories about laptops that the Department of Justice seemingly had before the second Trump impeachment, okay, are totally blocked. And everything we just talked about are on steroids. I think that now that you have this guy in here, okay, let me read this for some people. This guy says he's not bound by the First Amendment, and why he posted in 2010, why should I distinguish between white people and racists? This is the new CEO of Twitter. I mean, how do you feel about that as a dangerous white alpha male, John? Apparently, the new CEO of Twitter doesn't distinguish between you and a bigot.
Yeah, I mean, man, you guys got to be ready to leave. You got to be willing and able and set your plans moving forward to unplug from this psychopath society. It's crazy. These people are crazy. Just go away, find your little plot of land, maybe go to a different country. Like America's over. I don't. It's like I don't see us saving it. This is ridiculous. Like, you have these super powerful people coming into these positions. They're super emotional. They base all their decisions and everything on emotion. They don't care about facts or reason. They don't care if their side does something horrible. They look the other way. It doesn't matter because the end justifies the means, and their end is a make believe fantasy world. And I don't know. I don't see us changing momentum when I see this type of shit, you know? So it's like when I was talking, it seems normal and people are over it, but that's like a small, like personal space. Like I'm outside. Like I don't have employers. I don't have people that are hounding me and asking me for, medical procedures and shit. So like I'm able to sit on the outside. A lot of people I know are able to sit on the outside and not be affected by it. So like that's what you got to do. That's the path you got to do. Try not to have an employer. Try not to live in these big cities that are requiring this shit. You're gonna have to unplug, and you're gonna have to be okay with like taking care of yourself and your loved ones and watching the rest of it burn because it's gonna burn. It's gonna burn bad. Like they're gonna make diversity hires in the fucking electrical system or fucking the roadways or bridges or some other bullshit, and people are gonna die, and it's gonna get worse and worse, and nobody's ever gonna like be like, oh, we were so wrong. Sorry guys, we shouldn't have been this emotional about it. They're gonna try to kill everybody because they're never gonna take responsibility for it.
Well,
They'd rather kill everybody and blame, oh, it was your fault because you didn't cooperate fast enough.
there's a lot to unpack there. I mean, I think that you're right that we're headed into a hellscape. Unfortunately, I think no matter what, people are going to have to navigate the situations.
I mean, there's gonna be like safer places, not necessarily.
There has to be. There has to be, right? I know that
Well, I mean, like I was like South Carolina. I was looking because like they have, they're like have stuff in their constitution now that is anti mandates and anti mask mandates and shit. So like, if on a state level they're willing to like say "f you" and make this a part of their constitution, like that's promising.
that is promising. And the thing is that you're going to have to navigate it. There's going to be no escaping all of it. I think the coastlines, again, as I've been telling you from the very beginning, John, I always said, look, California is going to be rough, and New York, New Jersey, that whole block is going to be rough, and they continue to be really rough. And, when you talk about the future of society and virtual worlds, I keep going back to this document from 2001. Take a look at it. Communications, computing, sensors, electronics, and everything. Okay. And then scroll down beyond human AI, because we're beyond silicon, molecular, quantum, bio-optical, automatics, robotics in the large. We're starting to show. We showed that commercial with the woman. They're singing the song and her life is changing and the robots are coming in. And then what we're even seeing now, immersive multi-sensory VR or holodecks. And this is, again, they tell you this isn't pixie dust. This is the plan for 2025. Guys, we're a month away tomorrow, okay? A month away tomorrow from 2022. 3 years, it goes like that. It goes like that. Micro, nano, GNC sensors, etc. They're right on time with this document. I mean, they're right there. So, we just talked Twitter. I think that we should talk, and we'll bring some of this stuff up live, how no matter what you think about Facebook, okay, how it really came into being. And if you're over on YouTube, can we get 100 thumbs up? Can we do that over there? Mm-hmm. So, what do you know, John, about a guy named Sean Parker?
I know nothing.
Do you? I bet you know more than you think. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, for those that don't know who Sean Parker is, if you watch the movie The Social Network, he's the Justin Timberlake character. Okay? And, I guess we'll bring it up a little bigger so people can see it. I just type in Sean Parker, CIA, Napster. Oh, you're going to love this. And this one is Business Insider, The Insane Life of Facebook Billionaire Sean Parker. Now, if you haven't seen Sean, you probably have. You just don't know it. All right? At 16 years old, John, the CIA tried to recruit Mr. Sean Parker, but failed. Okay? They failed. They failed. And then at 19, he co-founded Napster. Now, if you didn't know, John, you might know a guy named Joe Rogan, right? Now, he's on a platform called Spotify. You know that, right? Do you know Spotify is the commercialized version of Napster? As in, that's where they went with it from the very beginning, okay? Now, here's something even more wacky. We talked about him being the Timberlake character in The Social Network. So he gets into Facebook at a very, very early time. So let's just type in, oh, look at that, which is on Biography here. So Biography, who is he? And there they talk about his early life and early career. It was actually 15 years old when his hacking drew the attention of the FBI and the CIA tried to recruit him. Okay. He did get $80,000 for his work.
Sounds like such a weird thing.
Isn't it weird?
The CIA tried to recruit this kid, but
well,
they failed.
Well, I mean,
get out of here.
They gave him $80,000 for a project.
Why even announce that?
Well,
Why they announce a loss like that.
Well, they don't talk about it as a loss. It says, this is how this is the spin. Let's read it for you, okay? When I say that they lost him, it says this, okay? Spurning a CIA internship. So he burned them with their internship. In other words, they just couldn't get him, John. Parker chose to work instead for a series of companies, including an early internet service, pocketing $80,000 for his work his senior year of high school. So somehow he makes $80,000 after spurning the CIA internship and then creates Napster. Sure. Okay. Then he gets involved with Facebook. So he actually is the guy that, I know you've seen this, Facebook, Sean Parker, manipulating your feelings clip. There it is. He's the one says that it's made to exploit. So everybody's seen this clip. It's right here. You know which one it is.
When Facebook was getting going, I had these people who would come up to me and they would say, you know, I'm not on social media. And I would say, okay, you know, you will be. And then they would say, no, I value my real life interactions. I value the moment. I value presence, and I value intimacy. And I would say, well, you're a conscientious objector. That's okay. You don't have to participate, but, you know, we'll get you eventually. and like, I don't know if I really understood the consequences of what I was saying. Because the unintended consequences of a network when it grows to 1 billion or 2 billion people, and it literally changes your relationship with society, with each other, with you know, it probably interferes with productivity in weird ways. God only knows what it's doing to our children's brains. You know, if the thought process that went into building these applications, Facebook being the first of them to really understand it, that thought process was all about how do we consume as much of your time and conscious attention as possible. And that means that we need to sort of give you a little dopamine hit every once in a while because someone liked or commented on a photo or a post or whatever. And that's going to get you to contribute more content, and that's going to get you, you know, more likes and comments. I mean, it's a social validation feedback loop that it's like it's exactly the kind of thing that a hacker like myself would come up with, because you're exploiting a vulnerability in human psychology. And I think that the inventors, creators, you know, and it's me, it's Mark, it's Kevin Systrom at Instagram, it's all of these people, understood this consciously, and we did it anyway.
I mean, what do you want me to tell you, folks? So this is reality. And the other guy he didn't mention that was also heavily invested in Facebook is a guy named Peter Thiel. And by the way, Sean Parker, he gets to go to Bilderberg like once, but like Peter Thiel sits on the board. So you look at this stuff. Go ahead.
How much of their company did they do on their own? Like, at what point did the government step in and be like, "Hey, man, we've been watching what you're doing"? They was on the radar at 15. So how much of his communications and relationships were monitored?
Oh my
And
God!
how much of
Come on,
Facebook?
man.
How much of Facebook did they actually help build because they knew what they were doing and what
Okay.
they were going to get?
Take a guess how much. I mean, you'd have to be foolish not to realize what's right in front of your face, what we're putting there. Again, guys, I want to reiterate it. And we'll probably be going over to Rockfin exclusively soon. So at least go make that free account at Rockfin. Thumbs the video up, subscribe, and share. I want to go over some other things that I missed about the Maxwell trial. But we know signature reduction itself has 60,000 people working, foreign and domestic, in private businesses and consultancies. They've been at large well over a decade now, and never a hearing, right? What we also know is that Homeland Security is created all the way back in 2003, John, and the Patriot Act is signed in 2001. Whitney Webb has done an excellent piece, basically talking about a DARPA program. We talk a lot about DARPA on this show, called LifeLog. And how, just coincidentally, John, I'm just saying this is probably a coincidence. The day LifeLog shut down, which was basically something where you shared all your information and socially interacted with people, Facebook opened up. And I don't know that it's the idea that, well, Facebook was created in that manner. It's probably more of the idea is, hey, we've got this beta program. This other kid's got something, and it looks pretty good. As we shut this down, let's make sure we infiltrate and exploit this the same way we would this, and we sell it as a consumer product. That's not far-fetched. That we see that time and time again. And people are just so conditioned with these Bernaysian talking points, like you said, with these dopamine hits on a platform like that. They're worried about their selfies and their meal and how cool they look with their dog and bullshit. That the other part of
If you
it.
get rewarded or patted on the head for right think also, oh, I said the right thing, or I made a post that people liked it because I said the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a good person.
And it gets boosted, right? Oh, my meme got shared so many more times. Oh. So it's all there. It's all right in front.
9 paragraphs explaining it got shared and put on the featured page.
So, Fitch, I talked a little bit about the what I think is going to be a show trial for Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, the way that it's being portrayed, and we'll just go to the regular Daily Mail, is that, oh, we had a scathing opening statement. Oh, by the way, Chris Cuomo in the news also. Scathing opening statement that she was Epstein's partner in crime. Now, number one, we should have access to this trial. Everything.
Yeah, this is a big red flag. Like, all of the implications, the powerful, rich people who are around these people, like, this needs to be front and center in front of everybody.
Absolutely.
Not the self-defense porn or whatever from the Rittenhouse. Like, this is way more important and affects way more people.
And I'm telling people that there's a great place. It's at Tracker Trial. This person is doing great. Basically giving you the play-by-play, has some great stories. An hour ago, the defense is implying the victims are making stuff up. As we all know, memories fade over time, and in this case, we will learn not only have memories faded, but they have been contaminated by outside information, media reports, and other influences. So once again, this is a great place to follow the trial. The thing is, Maria Farmer, at Artistic Whistleblower, also covering this, she's not being asked to testify. Her sister, Annie Farmer, not being asked to testify. Virginia Giuffre Roberts, Prince Andrew accuser, etc., Dershowitz accuser, not being asked to testify. That reeks of the fix is in. And I wanted to talk, we talk about Elon Musk and frontmen. Oh, look, it's Elon with old Ghislaine. Guess what? You know what the story is, huh?
They're talking about what they have in common with the child sex slaves, child slaves they use.
Listen, we're not cyberbullying on YouTube, my friend. We're not going to cyberbully. That's a joke. But we were talking about a little man called Zuckerberg, right? Well, guess what? Oh, boy. If you look at this headline here, Elon Musk says Ghislaine photobombed him when confronted with Ghislaine Maxwell picture. Yeah, right. And denies the claim that he introduced Jeffrey Epstein to Mark Zuckerberg. Oh, Elon! Good old Elon Musk. I'm sure he didn't do that, John. I'm sure he didn't try to introduce the Zuck to Ghislaine Maxwell. That wouldn't make sense. You know, it wasn't like Bill Gates and Epstein.
How much do you think that the whole COVID thing is just one big cover up because of the fucking depths of this pedophile thing?
Nah, it's all just part of the same deal, man. Look, you know, for instance, I have it behind your head, so bear with me for one moment. I'm going to show you a ring of fake news. I'll bring this up. A ring of fake news from the early 90s surrounding Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, okay? So let's bring this up, folks. We're going to just take John out for a second, bring it right over here. And here's the deal, man. A guy named Seymour Hersh, who we, again, have talked about on this program back in the day, the fake news... Associated Press. Notice it says newspapers, : Hersh was hoaxed over claim of new evidence of Maxwell-Israeli link. Now, for those that don't know, again, Robert Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell's daddy, was a media mogul who owned the Mirror and other publications and also happened to be what many people would call a Mossad agent, or at least an asset. He was working with Israeli intelligence. Now, when Seymour Hersh started bringing this out, they're like, he's a hoaxer. It's a joke. No, that's fake news. Look, Mirrorgate, a press empire strikes back. Seymour Hersh has been accused of libel because of book linking British journalists to Israel's Secret Service. Now, if you watch now, what happens? They sued him. So Robert Maxwell sues him. Okay, guess what? After Robert Maxwell dies, he falls off his boat and drowns. U.S. author gets apology in libel case. 3 years later.
3 years later.
So,
that's wild, man.
I mean, that's just a small piece of this whole case. And we're talking about like father, like daughter, later on infiltrating the new media of the day. Make no mistake about it. And we're talking about Hollywood media. There's Epstein, there's Ghislaine, there's Harvey Weinstein, who was apparently running Hollywood. We all know what a great guy. I mean, you're a big fan of Weinstein, aren't you?
He's got some incredible films out there.
Unfortunately, he did produce so many, like the Weinstein Company did produce so many incredible films.
Did produce a lot of great films. I mean, there's method to his madness, I guess. I don't know.
Just like there must have been a method to Kevin Spacey's madness. We didn't cover this earlier, and I was supposed to. I wanted to. And by the way, guys, after we do this, we're going to go to the other side on Rockfin where me and Fitch can get a little saucier. So, again, ROKFIN.com. Go make the free account and follow us over there. $9.99 a month for premium, $99.99 for the year. Endorse me, endorse Fitch. You get everybody's stuff. It is a great, great deal. So, Kevin Spacey ordered to pay $31 million to House of Cards producer because he broke the safety of our employees. Basically, he had signed a clause because they knew what a creep he was, right? I think it's probably because David Fincher was involved in the project, and Fincher's the guy behind Fight Club and Seven, and he probably had an idea of how creepy but how great Spacey was. So it looks like it's a $31 million in damage and legal fees hit because of what a scumbag this guy is. Like, but you can believe he's a good guy, and he didn't, go after kid actors when they were 16, drunk in hotel rooms like he's been accused of. You can believe he's the best. I mean, he's on a plane with Bill Clinton, his buddy. He's playing a parody of a Bill Clinton character in this, and his wife is playing a parody of a Hillary Clinton character. It's very obvious that they're the main influences in that show. Have you ever seen House of Cards?
No.
Oh, wow. John, Listen, John, I didn't finish it.
I'm not somebody who thinks drama is entertaining.
Bro, you might like this. I don't know, man. You might you might like that one. I mean, it's as dark as it gets. When you start watching it and you realize like how over the top you would think, like, in other words, if like this was a show written by someone like Tucker Carlson at this point or whatever, they would say, oh, this is right-wing media propaganda. But because people like fell in love with it, it was before that era, it was just kind of accepted. Bill Clinton actually was quoted that people would be surprised.
That's the thing, man, is a lot of people on the other side, I don't think they care. I don't think they care about the corruptness or wretchedness. They just care about their side winning. They just want that tribal feel of, yeah, we're in control. And they deny like any bad thing that's happening.
You know, there's a lot of Stockholm syndrome out there, bro. I've still got people trying to tell me that this isn't a DARPA-driven event when, I'm just going to show it to everybody here. Again, they partnered.
I don't understand. Anybody who's still upset about people not getting back. If the vaccines worked, we would see like.
Whoa. We're not on the other side yet. You know what? Let's stop there. If the vaccine works, we're all going to smile and be happy.
Safe and effective.
Safe and effective. Vaccineanswers.org.
So safe and effective.
It's the safest and most effective.
More people are getting it.
It's safe and effective. I mean, again, DARPA partnered with Moderna on their own website in 2013 to use mRNA therapeutics to fight pandemics. AstraZeneca, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, there they are. It's weird. You know, we can read this. I want to get to the second page of this. We can read this part. Only because it has nothing to do with what's going on now, even though in 2013 it was to fight pandemics. Oh, don't tell me you're not going to load. Well, that page hates loading. There we go. So it's right at the end here, okay? With the validation, and let's bring it up on screen so people can see it. With the validation of AstraZeneca and DARPA, oh, wow, they did partner. Weird. Bancel has options. He almost certainly could whip up an IPO roadshow and take Moderna public if he wanted to give the investor appetite for new offerings this year. See, they're telling you this is a business. And they're telling you the Defense Department is running it. And they're telling you it's mRNA to fight pandemics. But we'll keep going. But he has demurred, saying the main goal is to get strong assurance that the compounds are safe before they go into clinical trials. A stumble by Moderna there could be devastating to his entire new area of biology, he says. So in other words, if there are trials and they don't show what they want, they'll get in trouble. The last thing we want to do is rush and make a mistake, Bancel says. We have a big responsibility to society. We believe we can bring forward new drugs to patients. Remember gene therapy? They rushed it to the clinical trials in the 90s, and an 18-year-old died in a clinical trial. Okay? It set the field back a decade. mRNA, brand new. We don't want to damage it. It's our responsibility to society. Now, just think about it. We've gone to a society where that was reported to where we are today, and me not being able to talk about it on this platform. So YouTube, go to Rockfin, ROKFIN.com. The links are down below to support me. Arrivederci, YouTube. We will